Welcome to Business Mastery with Dawn Kennedy, your quick under 45-minute dose of expert insights and strategies to make a positive impact on your business and life. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Business Mastery Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about rapid growth. We're going to be talking about highly regulated industries, and we're going to be talking about getting the support you need to make sure that you know how to grow in compliance. And we're going to bust some perceptions around how fast or slow you need to go based on your industry. So I have Beth here. We're going to be talking all about her company and how she was able to leverage her past experience to a multi-million-dollar organization. So Beth, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to have this discussion.
I am too. Can you tell everyone who you are and who you serve?
Sure. My name is Beth LaChance. I am the founder and CEO of Global Medical Virtual Assistants, and we serve all medical practices, hospitals, and beyond in the medical space here in the United States.
All right. So let's just dive right in. You started your company and your first year revenue was
just under $50,000.
Okay. And 6 years later, your company is?
Yeah, we're gonna close out 2025 at just over $30 million in revenue.
Amazing. So we're talking about a very short period of time. And we're talking about a very highly regulated industry. So before we go any further, let's talk about specifically what you do as far as placing virtual assistants and things and how you're able to do this in such a regulated industry.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah, it's an exciting time in the medical space and in the medical industry. Virtual assistants were widely utilized in all industries except for the medical space. And that was because, number one, like you touched upon it, compliance, regulatory issues around PHI and personal and private health information and beyond. What's exciting for us is that we were able to scale so quickly because timing. COVID happened. The discussions with medical practices fully shifted to getting over all the hurdles of why would you utilize medical virtual assistants versus then the discussion entirely went to, okay, how and how quickly can we utilize medical virtual assistants? So it was an entirely a huge shift in terms of mindset, just based on a massive event, the pandemic that had happened, and that mind shift into something different. And so with that being said, though, there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes in terms of, okay, how do you scale so quickly in a regulated industry? And I think we were able to do that really effectively.
So what type of roles are your virtual assistants doing in medical practices and hospitals?
Yeah, great question. So we fall under what I call I think of us as like a stool, and there's 3 legs of the stool. And one leg would be front desk, everything and anything front desk receptionist related in terms of taking in inbound and outbound calls from patients, scheduling patient appointments, doing, of course, full new patient intakes in certain specialties. So everything that front desk would typically do, we're able to do. And then there's another leg of the stool, which is everything insurance verification, prior authorizations, verification of benefits in that and on that leg of the stool. And then the final and the other leg of the stool is all of some of the back office things that happen in revenue cycle management. So denied appeals, doing appeals, billing, you name it, everything within that back office with revenue cycle management. There are hundreds and hundreds of other tasks that are done within those 3 legs of the stool, but that is just the clarification that makes it for simplification.
So let's talk about any resistance that you had in the industry from both the practitioner and then also maybe the patient.
Yeah, I think the number one and always the very first thing in people's minds are, of course, is HIPAA and protecting patient information. And so that's always one of the very first hurdles we have to get over. And one of the things we were able to show is, number one, all of our staff are HIPAA certified. Number 2, we have the right software in place to protect patient information. So therefore, nefarious actors can't penetrate our systems because we're logging in directly into our clients' tools, directly into our clients' EHRs, their electronic healthcare records. And so therefore, we're making sure that we're doing everything we can on the back end to protect the patient information. So once we jump over that big hurdle, and that's a big hurdle to be able to get over, especially when we get involved with the IT departments of large hospital systems, we're having to really do a deep dive and show them what we're able to do to protect information, and also protect any potential breaches that might happen within if a nefarious actor were able to get in any one of our computers. So that's one of the biggest hurdles. Then the next hurdle really is around the ability to be able to effectively utilize global workforce outside of the United States, bringing in top talent, and of course, leveraging that top talent to be able to do the tasks remotely. So getting people over those two hurdles, as soon as we can get over those two hurdles, it's a very quick process from there, and we can very quickly get the people in the right mindset to be able to think, okay, this is possible, and not only is it possible, this works really well.
Yeah, you got to move them from this is actually something we are able to do and move them into the space of, is this something that we want to do? So
Yeah.
obviously, with almost $30 million in sales, you have a lot of people who want to do this.
Yes.
Have you seen any issues on the patient side? I think, again, post-pandemic, a lot of people do things online, like you book your hair appointments online. Do you run into any resistance about people who still want to be able to walk into a physical location?
No, because they're still walking into a physical location, and how we're able to get around is most patients are calling into a medical practice or a hospital. We sound like we're sitting in that hospital or sitting in that medical practice. So they really don't know the difference because the quality of our talent is so extraordinarily high. It really drives the bar up of our typical front desk remote receptionists or receptionists are in the practice. It really drives that level even higher. So there isn't really that, oh, where are you these days, right? We call, let's just say, our phone carrier, for example. We call customer service of our phone carrier. We know once we get on with an agent that they're not here in the United States. We can hear it in their accent. We can hear it with what's happening in the background and beyond. We don't have those issues. And the reason for that is because the talent that we are bringing in to work, I know that I can place them with a practice in Louisville, Kentucky. I can place them in somewhere in Alabama, on the West Coast in California, Chicago, Queens, New York, you name it. We can place them anywhere in the United States, and we don't have any issues with accent or, of course, their level of communication is so extraordinarily high. If we didn't bring in that bar, if we lowered our bar of expectations of who we would bring in as medical virtual assistants, then we would have those complaints, right? You'd have patients complaining, I can't understand what they're saying. We don't have those complaints because our level of the bar that we bring in terms of talent is extraordinarily high.
Amazing. All right. So let's get into this fast scale from 50K to this year, 30 million.
Sure.
And how were you able to do this? What did you? So timing, of course, is part of it. But let's be honest.
Everything.
But markets also shift. Expectations also shift. So
Yeah.
what got you started in, let's say, 2020, 2021, 2019 pandemic time isn't what kept you here.
No, absolutely not. First and foremost, we stick true and hard to our core values. So we have core values here that are company-wide that's a main focus every single day. If we're able to keep those 4 core values in mind every day and every part of what we do, we will just continue to soar. We will continue to grow at the pace we're growing. And the reason for that is obviously we have to make sure that we are doing the right things for our clients and our patients every day. And if we continue to do that, we will continue to grow, like I just said. In terms of timing is everything. Also making sure that you really are fulfilling a need that will not be easily replaced. That is the number one way to absolutely ensure that you are continuing to grow like we have in our organization. And we most definitely have found a niche of an absolute need that is out there. But beyond that, we can fulfill it in a way that we aren't easily replaceable. And so I think for any business owner out there, if you're thinking about, wow, my business works now, but will it work a year from now or 2 years from now? Will we be replaced by competition? Will we be replaced by software? How can we stay relevant? if you consistently stay ahead of the curve in terms of making sure that you will be relevant with the changes that happen, then you will have a business that will not only be sustainable, but will continue to grow. And we've really done that here at Global Medical Virtual Assistants. We've made sure that we are in the know of what's happening, especially in AI, right? Because AI is everywhere. Everyone's talking about it, but not only are they talking about it, it's really fully being developed and utilized. And so how can we remain as the market leader in with medical virtual assistants? We have to keep those things in mind, and we're building that into our platform. We're making sure that we're part of the wave, of the new wave. And so every business owner has to keep that in mind with their business. How can they maintain and stay in that need where clients absolutely need you?
All right. So my next question, because a lot of business owners will do a lot of this type of work early on. And then as they grow and develop, they actually maybe don't take the time to keep looking at the industry or keep looking at what's going forward. And not for any other reason, but they lack the time or they're comfortable where they are. How do you stay out in front? What are the steps that your company takes to make sure that you are on that growth edge?
Right. Yeah. Thank you. We're talking about evolution, right? You have to evolve.
Yes.
If you're not willing to evolve and you're not willing to stay right in the place and the mindset of consistently having to evolve, you may get left behind. And so what we do is we have our upper management team, our executive team, but also our upper management team. My expectation is they're always having interest in learning something new. And if they have interest in learning something new and keeping a wide attention of market trends, then we can bring those in-house for meetings. We can analyze, okay, how can we be part of this? What do we need to bring into our organization to make sure that we are continuing to evolve? So I'm allowing people to continue to learn. I'm allowing people to bring back whatever they're learning back to our company so that we can potentially bring it in as a resource. And it's an expectation for us. Anyways, it's an expectation. So one of the exciting things, for example, I had just over the weekend, my HR department head had sent me an email regarding something that he heard that was out there that would potentially help on the HR side. I expect that of a team. What's out there? What's new? Let's look for new things. Let's consistently make sure that we're evolving so we can stay ahead of trends. And so that's really where I'm depending on my team. It's not going to be just me. It can't just be me as the visionary. It really needs to be everyone in their individual departments learning and knowing what's happening and what are trends that are happening out there. And so therefore that's the way that you're able to do that as an organization.
Yeah. So just to sum up, you have empowered your team to also be part of this forward looking environmental landscape or environment landscape for your industry and what's going on collaterally.
Yeah.
So it doesn't all fall on you as the business owner.
Correct. No. And that's part of having the best team, right? And the right team is that you have those people on your team that are forward thinking, that are thinking outside of the box, that are paying attention to what's happening outside of their job, right? Their role. They're seeing, okay, what's happening over there? Let me read this article. Let me listen to that podcast. What are some things that I can then bring back to my organization to make sure that we're continuing to grow and evolve? So it's absolutely having the right team in place, because you can have great members on your team, but if they're only looking at their tasks or what their job is every day and not looking at how it can evolve and become better, or what there's consistently new tools coming out monthly. There's new tools coming out that would make jobs easier, make our company continue to grow. We need those minds. We need those people here. And so you as an entrepreneur in your business, same thing. You need those people that aren't just, I like what I do. I like the software I use. No, we need to be thinking, okay, what are we going to look like if we're twice our size? Will that software still work for us? And so that's consistently how we think at the upper management team here. We're consistently thinking about, okay, when we double in size, will these tools still work? When we double in size, how many other people in our organization will we need, and in which roles will be needed? So we're consistently thinking about moving forward, not patting ourselves on the back of how much we grew last year. It's about what's happening and moving forward.
All right. So you are now a $30 million company. I want you to take what you just said and let's bring it back down to like your first 2 million, right? So 2 million and below company. Maybe you don't have the people you wooed away from McKinsey. Maybe you don't have the pool of that upper level business intelligence talent yet.
Sure. Yep.
How did you, because you did this, you went through that particular step. So I really feel comfortable asking you
Yeah.
at that 2 million and below mark, how did you continue to do this prior to you being able to hire in those people who have BI or business intelligence sort of backgrounds?
Sure. It was fine tuning and really paying attention every single day to details. Details are critical. If I had to be in the weeds with clients, when we were generating only $2 million in revenue, I had to be in the weeds with our clients, with our medical virtual assistants to ensure we were doing a great job. If you can do that in your business, you will see that they will not only grow with you, meaning your existing clients will find an additional need to be able to utilize you in an additional way. And a lot of our growth was from our existing client base. So year over year, we have tracked our growth. Is it from bringing in new clients or is it from our existing client base? What growth rate is from our existing client base? Do we continue to focus on that? And year over year, it's been consistently 50% of our growth each year is not bringing in new clients, it's our existing client base. So how can I make sure that we continue to focus in on the details with those existing clients so they continue to see our value? They continue to see where else they can grow with us, where they can add us in. And so again, that at that 2 million mark, and even up until the 10 million marker, I was heavily involved in the details to make sure, are we hitting the mark? Are we doing things right so that we can continue to scale with our existing clients without having to spend the money on additional marketing to bring in new clients because we have clients exiting? We made sure that we don't have clients exiting because we're hitting the mark on the details every single day.
So a lot of your early, I'm going to call it early forward looking, was actually inside your own company and your client base, and then evaluating your scope and capabilities based on what you were already doing. So you didn't always have that's what I call enterprise level strategic intelligence gathering, but you were doing this from day one, forward thinking, in the weeds, looking for those opportunities, and then leveraging what you were learning from clients.
Yes.
So would you say that's your first steps? Because we definitely want people to realize that in these highly regulated industries with all of these things, scaling quickly and scaling well is 100% possible.
Oh, absolutely. It's 100% possible. As a matter of fact, if you're not scaling at a fast pace or at a reasonable pace, and that's up for you to decide as a business owner, then there's something happening that you need to take. You need to take the time to figure out why that's happening. And it more than likely means if you're not growing with your existing client base, maybe you can't. Maybe your clients they hit the limit of what they're going to be utilizing your services for. Then how can you continue to grow, making sure you're leveraging marketing? And how are you marketing? Are you marketing the right way? Are you spending your marketing dollars the right way? But you've got to spend the time to figure out what's happening. Are we not hitting the mark? Do we have too many people exiting? Do we have clients exiting our services while we're still bringing in new clients? So we're not growing, but we're staying the same size. And we have too many people leaving as we're bringing people in. And so you've got to take the time to step back and see, why are clients exiting? And if they are exiting, you're not hitting the mark. As a business owner, you need to take the time to get down into the weeds and figure out, how are you not hitting the mark to make sure that you are still needed tomorrow, the following month, the following year by your existing clients.
And that goes back to your conversation earlier about evolution. So we're not buying iPods anymore. I keep using this example because I read a very funny anecdote not that long ago about Apple. But so I'm obsessed with their failures as much as their transition sorts of technologies, and iPods were transitional. I think it just turned 20 years old. It came out like in the early 2000s. I think that's where I saw the article. They did not say, oh, that's it. No more music. The iPod's going away. We're done. It's the same kind of thing. I think that staying needed and staying relevant means staying in that space of evolution.
Absolutely. And by the way, I just want to say, I loved my life. I loved that thing. Talk about not wanting to evolve. I didn't want to evolve. I had an iPhone and I was like, okay. But I love my iPod. Like, it was so simple. I was like, I have just my music on this device and my phone and all my emails are on my other device. But yes, and then I was forced to evolve, which sometimes as business owners, you have to look at your clients and you have to force them to evolve to make sure that you're able to move them into the next space. that also can be a way to make sure that you're growing and you're innovating and you're moving forward. And because if you don't get your clients to do it with you, you could get stuck in a space where then you won't, all of a sudden you've missed the boat. And now your competitors are doing it with all their new clients and they're continuing to grow in your same space. So there's sometimes you need to sometimes force your client base to evolve with you, with your services to ensure that you're going to stay in the growth mode or even stay relevant.
So let's talk about the fear that I heard half the listeners just now go, force my clients to evolve. Do you even know what we do? So let's talk a little bit about that probably very uncomfortable place that a lot of business owners, especially more seasoned business owners, they're like, we've been doing it this way. We've implemented the things, right? We've incrementally gone, but you explode. Like I have you on here because 50,000 to 30 million in 6 years is a just huge growth
Yeah.
and sustainable growth. And now you are basically an enterprise business. So going from little $1,000 a week to enterprise in such a short period of time, this is an exceptional case study, if you will. I think there is some risk stuff, and we're going to talk a little bit here in a minute about how you got support to do this. But
Yes.
let's talk about that because I know there's somebody listening out there and goes, force my clients to evolve. Do you have any idea what you're trying to ask me? I'll be broke. I'll be dead. They're leaving. They're all going to leave me. So how were you able to do that? How did you, I hate to use the word like drag because we're not really dragging them. We're just offering them the opportunity. But really, how did you get your clients to evolve with you?
Yeah, great question. One of the things, I'll just give an example of one of the ways we had to have them evolve with us. And this was with retention of our existing team, right? Our existing VAs. We had to get clients to understand that, yes, we're a subscription-based model. We charge a certain dollar amount. But each year, as you have a medical virtual assistant that is tenured with you, we've got to show them that they're valued. We have to give them an increase. And so that increase has to be passed along to our client. We don't get any more money. It's going directly to the tenured staff that's working directly with your medical practice and or your hospital. So we've had to force the hand of like the increase that was going to happen each year. But the pain that they would feel with if we didn't have high retention rates, the pain that they would feel from that of the turnover that would happen because we're all professionals. We hire professionals, we place professionals with our practices. And so we have to treat them like professionals or they will leave. And so one of the things that we've had to do is get people to evolve from our very first client base, right? That talking about that first year, those first 2 years in business, we've had to get them, maybe the original contract that they signed did not include increases to their tenured team. We had to force their hand to evolve to get them to understand it. But do you want this turnover? Because the very mild increase that will be paid to the virtual assistants that are working within your practice, that very minimal increase is nothing in comparison to having to retrain and rehire and handle any attrition issues that may come from that. That, again, forcing the hand, right? Getting them to get the buy-in. But it's on us as the business, it's on us to be able to educate our client on this is the pain you're going to feel if you don't evolve with us in this direction. And so if you are able to do that eloquently and do it in a way to get them to understand, they will go along with you on the journey. They really will. And we've been successful in that aspect. We've been successful in bringing in new software tools to make sure that all of our computers are locked down and we don't have nefarious actors being able to breach. And that came with some partnership of having to partner with our existing client base to say, hey, we now have brought in this new software. And with this new software, you need to whitelist our IP address to make sure that we're all in. So again, evolving and forcing their hand to bring them along with us. And they're grateful for it once we get through the pain of that first part of pulling them through that evolution. So that's part of being a business owner. We have uncomfortable moments. We have uncomfortable times and shifts in our business that we have to adapt and have to be able to move forward in. And that's part of being a business owner. There are uncomfortable moments. And those moments might be months. Those moments could be a year. But You've got to make sure that you know what the end goal is and what you need to do in order to get there to make sure that you're still in business and you're going to continue to grow.
Yeah, great point. For everybody listening, you can educate people to come with you.
Yep.
And I think sometimes there's some resistance on the business side, not because the education isn't worth or whatever, but it's this idea that they know us, they know what we do. I
Yes.
think that there is a little bit of that depending on your industry, which again, a differentiator for you is that you will go out there and you'll say, no, this is why we're doing it this way.
Yeah.
And this is why we're not going to be able to do it that way any longer.
Correct.
So I think it
Yeah.
takes some courage to do that. And like you said, some uncomfortable moments.
It does. It's uncomfortable. We've had to do it, and even getting sometimes your internal team to get on board that you're going to have uncomfortable uncomfortable conversations with your client about this. But it's something we have to do. And as long as we educate our team internally on how to be able to have those difficult conversations, you're able to work your way and make your way through it. But you've got to get everybody's buy-in.
Okay, so the last segment, if you will, or last section, we talked quite a bit before we decided to record about your experience in getting support because the CEO at 50 grand, the CEO at 250, the founder at 1 million and the founder at 5 million and now 30 million with an enterprise sized business is a completely different person. Like you
Yeah.
could just you're the same person, but you have obviously needed to change as a human to be able
Yeah.
to do this and do this successfully.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk
Yeah.
about how you decided that you were going to do this and how you found the support.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's been painful. I'm going to tell you, like, because when you go into business and you're in business as an owner, sometimes it's really hard to get yourself out of the weeds. It's really hard to get yourself out of the mindset, I can do it better than everybody else. Like in the end,
Yeah.
you've got there's a lot of growing pains that go with a growing business and a shifting mindset that has to happen as the business owner. And sometimes for me, anyways, I think the biggest thing was being able to truly find the right team members to delegate to and knowing that I have full trust that they will do it and do it as well, if not better than me. And that's really been the key. They do it better than me. So finding those team members that can do it better than you is the absolute key. And the other part of that is once I got to a certain position in the business where I couldn't possibly keep doing it all. It just wasn't physically possible. There's not enough hours in the day. There's not enough patience within myself to be able to handle everything. I needed permission. And it sounds like a bizarre word, but I needed permission to hire more people. I needed someone to tell me, why are you doing this? You need to be hiring somebody to do X, Y, and Z. And so I almost needed that permission to be like, okay, just because I'm the business owner doesn't mean that I have to still do a lot of these things. I can free up my time by delegating and finding the right team members to delegate it to. And so that was a big mind shift that I had to do with have an executive coach that had helped me through that mind shift. And those are still uncomfortable conversations because there's moments where she's why hold on, why aren't you still why are you still doing this? But I think that's one of the things that we need to really get really accustomed to is to not shy away from hiring somebody who's expensive or you think is expensive. Oh, I can't afford this person. No, I can't afford to not have this person. That needs to be the mind shift. And that's definitely the place I have gotten to where I cannot afford to not hire this person. And making sure that you're finding some people on your team and adding to your team, not only just as needed, but looking at, okay, my business goals for the end of 2026 look like this. Who do I need on my team before then to make sure I can get to that?
Yeah.
And so you won't get to that number or you won't get to that goal if you don't have the team in place before you get there. And so that also has been a very big mind shift for me and something that I've done where it's like, okay, I can't think about how I'm going to get there. I also think, who do I need to get me there? And so that's been a key component to the continued growth, especially over the last couple of years, because I most definitely got to a place where, okay, I really need to bring in the right team members and make sure that we can hit the goals that I want to hit. Not where we are now, but with the goals that I want to hit later. And that's been a key.
All right. So I need to talk about this discomfort. If you had any and how you got past it, we know that when you hire somebody, depending on the role, there's a training period, an onboarding period, an implementation. We got to get them ready to be able to run, right? So they come in, they have their training wheels on the bike. You're teaching them your ways and doing those things. And by the way, they're getting full salary, even though the ROI may be half or whatever it is until they're released from the nest, right?
Yep.
Let's talk about that, because hiring the right people and the people who are quote unquote expensive, which is a perception
Yep. The perception.
that we have. I'm sure there were moments in there where you were like, I got to hire this person X months before I actually need to implement this particular role.
Correct.
How did you sit with that? Because I know there are people who are listening who are like, I know I need to hire a SEO, but we're not going to have the cash flow to be able to support them through maybe the training, or maybe they perceive that.
Sure.
This is a very uncomfortable place for a lot of business owners to scale. Scaling, by the way, definition is just your revenue grows greater than your expenses, right?
Yeah.
So not using scaling like maybe it's on the internet. So you're going to drop in this person, you're paying benefits, you're paying salary, you're doing all these things. They're still, however, in this preparatory space until they're ready to be on their own.
Yeah.
How? Because you do work with people, you're not product based. How did you sit with that and work through that? That may be very helpful to someone.
Yeah. For me, I think of them as an investment. They are an investment. They're investment to the growth of the business. They're the investment into the department that I'm expanding on. They're an investment to ensure the success. That's how I have put it into my mind in terms of how can I get over the fact that, okay, yeah, for a good 3 to 6 months, this person may not have an ROI. Like you said, nope, they're a true expense to the company. I have entirely shifted my mindset. They are no longer an expense to the company. They are an investment. They're investment for the business. And so if you can, as a business owner, have that mindset consistently about who you're bringing in, it's an investment. Whether it's an investment of taking stuff off your plate for you no longer to have to do to hand off to somebody else, that's an investment into your time, right? You're getting those hours back so that you can spend your time on something else to continue to grow the business, or to focus on a different thing that you need to focus on within, or get your time back so you can start having a work-life balance, whatever that means to you, because that means different things to different people. So it's an investment. And that's how I've been able to really, and it's a big mind shift. But as soon as I was able to make that, it's made a huge difference for me as a business owner. It's made a huge difference for the other people in the departments that also are struggling with the scale, because the scale is happening. And if I don't support them with the right people and the right management tools and the right management team around them, then they're overwhelmed, and also then feeling like the morale is low and they may want to leave. That's also an investment into that. So as long as we can get someone to think in those terms, it will entirely shift on how they grow and invest within the people and the team within their business.
All right. And going all the way back again to that 1 million, 2 million mark, when you really had to start making these, maybe some fractional people first or whatever.
Yeah.
How was that for you at that level, as far as the discomfort, and more so the level of trust required of yourself to be able to say, nope, we'll tweak along the way, we'll pivot, we'll do the things. This is what we're doing. This is where we're going. This is why I need to do this.
Yeah.
How did you, because at that level, I'm sure you didn't probably have the executive coach yet. You didn't have the structure the same way. So I know there are people who are listening who are like, no, I would love to do X, Y, Z. But what was it really building your trust muscle and building that comfort to be able to know that I'm going to do this and it's going to work?
Yeah, it was not easy for me. That was not an easy path. I consistently struggled with imposter syndrome, consistently. And then every once in a while, I'd have to remind myself, if I just looked at the business and I looked at our numbers, I must be doing something right. So then there must have been something I was doing right. Whether I was hiring the right people, I was coaching the right way, while I was guiding our clients the right way, whatever it might be, or investing in the right direction, or investing my time and energy in the right. Knew I was doing something right, or else it wouldn't have been going that direction. So then I had to start letting go of that imposter syndrome as much, and really trusting myself that I know what I'm doing. I'm making the right decisions. And so anytime that imposter syndrome started to pop back in, I immediately brought myself back to, here's my mission, here's my vision. I know I can do this because I've done it so far. And so that's really, for me, that's really what I had to do. But getting back to that $1 to $2 million in revenue, honestly, a lot of times I just buried my head into the work. I didn't think too much about too many other things. It was really just burying my head into the work about, okay, like this is what needs to get done. This is what's next. Here's the direction we're headed, and staying very focused on that. Then, and then once I had an executive coach, that really was it was very pivotal to me launching into the next level. That was really pivotal. So anyone out there that even, it's amazing just some of the minor things that an executive coach can really help with. It is worth the investment into an executive coach because it's investing in you. It's investing back in you. And a lot of times we forget about ourselves. We think, oh, I got this. Or maybe we're thinking, oh, I don't got this. If I don't have it, this isn't me. And the imposter syndrome comes in. But an executive coach is so key. And that was really one of the pivotal things for me, is investing in that. And so, yeah, I can't say enough about moving in from, okay, I've built this business. It's sustainable. It's doing well. It's doing okay. We're driving $1 million in revenue, $2 million in revenue, but how do you get it to the next level? And bringing an executive coach was key to get me out of the mind spirals that sometimes I set myself into about, can I do this? And I'll tell you one quick thing. I had said to myself, once I get to 1,000 people in my organization, that was my goal for the longest time, is I will get to 1,000 people in my organization. And then I'll feel like, okay, that's about as far as I can take it on my own. Like I might need to exit, or I might need to bring in somebody else, because I feel like I'd be over my ski tips, is how I like to put it. When you're over your ski tips, you're going to crash, right? And so you're out of control, feeling like you're going to crash. We're now at just over 1,400 people that work in our organization. I do not feel that way anymore. I didn't feel, when I hit the 1,000, I was like, okay, I had this in my head and it's not as bad as I thought. I really can do this. And I continue to scale. And I can now scale to 2,500 and then 5,000. So having the mind shift that needs to take place and getting an executive coach for me was absolutely key.
I love that. And I also love what you said is, I've done this so far. I think that is a huge statement that maybe we should make more to ourselves as we are running businesses and doing things, is I've done it so far. And there's room to evolve and room to grow and room to do things, but I've done it so far. Right. And even with maybe some of the regular sort of things that we all bump knees and elbows and things about market shifts or cash flow or whatever it is, the fact that you could look back and very honestly say to yourself, yeah, but I've done it so far. I think that needs to maybe be somebody's like sticky note, and it goes on the computer. I've done it so far, right? That day when you wake up and you're like, yeah, burn it all down. No, I've done it so far. And that's amazing. So yeah. Yep. Fantastic. Listen, where can people find you and follow your company and your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. Please go to our website. Our website is the best place to find information about us. It's www.gmva.com. You can find all kinds of information about us. Connect with me on LinkedIn, follow our journey, because we're going to continue to grow and evolve, because we need to stay relevant in this space. But we're excited for every milestone, very excited. So that's where you can find us.
Fantastic. So we're going to put all that down inside the show notes. So you can find Beth the day that we launched this episode, or 2 or 3 years later. By then she'll be at 150 million, which I'm excited for. So thanks so much, though, for coming on here and sharing your story and really giving that authentic view of what this really looks like when all of a sudden you realize, oh, I had to be somebody a little bit different to continue to do what I do.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
It was a great conversation. All right, we'll talk to y'all next time on the next episode of the Business Mastery Podcast. Take care. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Business Mastery Podcast. If you want to learn more about me, you can go to DawnKKennedy.com, and you can now check us out on YouTube, as well as, of course, any of your favorite platforms that host podcasts. Take care.